So welcome back to the channel, everyone, and in today's video we're going to talk about something different. Every once in a while I'm feeling a little bit uninspired and I don't really have a good idea for a video, and I chat with some viewers of this channel occasionally through channels like Facebook Messenger, Instagram Messenger, just by mail, and sometimes I just ask them, what would you like to see on this YouTube channel? So yesterday I was having a chat with Gary from the south of England, and I said to him, what would you like to see on my video? What's a subject that would interest you? And he said, what would interest me is what happens after you take the image. You know, I always show the front, how I find an image, how I set the camera on location, how I choose my composition, I show the final result. But what happens between pushing the shutter and showing the image on YouTube is a total mystery. So that's what I wanted to show you in this video, what happens after I push the shutter in the video. So this video is going to be about that period between pushing the shutter and releasing the image on YouTube and on my website. And this goes as far as how do I edit an image. For example, how does an edited video look? How do I store my images? What happens to my workflow when I get back home? What's the first thing I do? When do I do it? That is what this video is about. So if you're interested in that process of editing, of saving the image, storing, then yeah, keep an eye on this video because we will get into it. And the first thing that I always do when I get back home is of course take off my jacket and my shoes. But the first thing I do after that is I go upstairs and I put everything that I have used in the chargers. So my Osmo Pocket, my Insta360, my OM1 Mark II, usually I only need one battery, so I just plug the cable into the camera. But if I know that I use two batteries, I'll take the battery out of the camera and use my Duo loader to load the camera gear. Then I just put my bag in the corner and I leave it there for, yeah, let's say a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't do anything with it until I have some free time at home. It can be somewhere in the evening when the kids are in bed, or usually like today, it's a Wednesday. The Wednesday is my day where I record my videos, where I edit my videos, because everyone is always away from home on Wednesday. So the Wednesday is completely free and I can do whatever I want on these days. So for example, this morning I got my camera gear all around my computer here. I plug it into my computer to upload all the files. I use OM Workspace to download the files from the OM1 Mark II, and I'll just copy the files from the Osmo Pocket and the Insta360 through the USB-C cables that are on my computer, and I'll just copy these files to specific folders on my computer. And that usually takes a long time, especially the video files. If you have a decent trip, it usually takes about 30 minutes to transfer all the video files that I've recorded to the database on my computer. And yeah, in that meantime, there's nothing to do than wait. So usually I have some things around the house that I have to do. I can do the dishwasher, for example, or fold the laundry that is still laying around. So I always try to make myself as efficient as possible during that time. And once that is finished, then I'll just start with storing the images. So let's do that as the first part. How do I store my images on the computer? So when importing the files is finished, all the Olympus and OM system files always get into my new import map here. And the only thing I do is I just copy these files here, and I have this photo folder on my computer. You can see it's all sorted by date. So it's the year, the month and the day, and then the place where I recorded the video. So for example, recently I did some bird photography that is in the map of the 24th of March 25, sorry. And the video files, all the video files that I import are going to my video map, and which is also sorted out on date. So in here are the video files from the Osmo Pocket, from the Insta360 and all the B-roll files that I recorded with my Em5mk3. These are in these maps, and that's where I store them until I do something with them. I start processing them. So all these files, the video files, are all deleted once I uploaded the video to YouTube. So once it's on YouTube, I delete the video material because it's just enormous amounts of data. If you just look at this video, let's say this is quite a large trip. This file is 24 gigabytes. So imagine having a couple of dozen video trips on your computer. It takes massive amounts of data. So you definitely don't want that. If you go to the photo folder, for example, that same trip, this one in Leersum, this is about 7 gigabytes of photo material. And all these files are usually gone into Lightroom. If you go into, if you look at my Lightroom catalog, then I'll just show you what my workflow is and how I save the files. So first of all, well, that's me. Pretty picture. If I import these files, so let's say the one that you just seen from Leersum, I'll just look at them on my computer. So this is that file. This is a video that you're going to see in a couple of weeks' time. So that's really something to look forward to. It was an amazing trip, as you can see. But I haven't done anything with these images yet. So what I normally do, I just go by them one by one in the develop module, and I give them stars. 5 stars is a good rating, 4 stars is one that I'm having my doubts of. And that's how I go through them all. I look at the details, look at if the image is in focus. For example, if I open this shot, I always look for which one of those shots has the best focus, which is the best image to save. Well, if that's done, I'll give it the 5-star rating and I move on to the next image. And I go by this whole folder this way, giving them stars. And what happens if you've done that? Let's look at this folder. This is a trip that's been on YouTube last week. So it's good to show you that if I use the filter down here in Lightroom, I can say classified here, classification, and I can see here I want everything above 1 star. So everything that's got a rating for me is now in the bottom section down here. And what I always do, I just turn this around. If I put this filter down, then I say I want to see everything underneath the 1-star rating. So these are all the images that didn't get a single rating. And what I simply do, I select all these files and I just delete them. I won't do it now because I haven't checked it properly to make sure that it's okay. But I always delete everything that is not my main image. And you can see it here that most trips only have about 30 or 40, 50 files that I save. Some trips are pretty good, and I saved some material because I'm thinking maybe there are some hidden gems in them. This one here from Belgium, I haven't deleted anything in that folder. But usually after I'm done with editing the images, I just throw away all that stuff. And I only keep the raw file, and you can see it here if you go to, let's say, this file here. I think I took about 300 shots that morning, and the only thing that's left are these 28 images. The trip after, let's say, this one, there are 34 images left that are worth saving. So that's my way of doing it. And after I've done this, after I reduce the files, I copy this section to my NAS that's somewhere upstairs. So you can see here, this is my data, my disk station, and everything here is in here. I still have to do a lot of backupping. I back up the whole of 2024, but I haven't done much in 2025 yet. So I still have to do that. But if you look in this folder here, you can see that this is a backup of my 2023 photo catalog. So that's how I back up my stuff, and then I usually do a double copy, so it's on my disk station, but I also have a lot of SSD cards here, external ones, which I save this up on a year. So I buy a big SSD every year, and then every image from that year is saved on that SSD card. So I have 2 backups of my material. I have nothing in the cloud. If you're interested in that, I just don't do it. I don't like my material to float around anywhere and have data centers turning all day long to keep my data secure. Of course, my YouTube videos also are on those data centers, so it's probably a bit hypocrite, but if I can reduce it like this just by doing it myself, keeping it myself, then I'm totally fine with it. The video files, on the other hand, are all deleted. So once I'm done, once I exported the videos, it's done. I keep a couple of videos usually on my computer, recent uploads, but after that, after it's uploaded, after a while, I just delete those files. If I go to YouTube, I can re-download my own video file, so there's no use in saving this. And just look at this, is a processed video of about 20 minutes, and it is 7 gigabytes of data. So imagine, I'll just have a quick sum here. I have 280 videos, which all are about 7 gigabytes. So that's 2 terabytes of video data that I have to save somewhere. So I'm definitely not going to do that. So that's how I store my images when I get back home. So once that I have selected which files I'm going to edit, for example, I have this one selected that was in a video from about a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And I'll just show you how I edited this image. So this is the raw file, as you can see, and this is the final result. So it's a totally different image, but it's just because those raw files are just really, really flat. And if you look at this shot, for example, there is not much that I do about an image like this. So let's start with what the first thing that I always do. I'll choose this color profile up here, and I usually always choose Adobe Landscape. And just look at the difference here if you look at Adobe color profile and the landscape profile. So immediately there are some more colors in this image. So that's the first thing I do on 99% of all my images. So then I just reduce those highlights a little bit and put those shadows up a little bit, put the whites up a little bit, and darken the image some bit. Of course, the white balance is always really flat on a raw file, so I'll just turn the white balance up a little bit to that beautiful golden light that I've seen on location. And in this case, I wanted to have a little bit more contrast, but I want the contrast to be in a specific place, just around this tree here in the center. So if you see, if I raise the contrast, overall, I'm just doing it real slightly, something like this. So it's the clarity. I'm noticing now that my Lightroom is in Dutch, so I'm sorry for that. Every time Lightroom doesn't update, it goes back to my default language, so it's Dutch, so I forgot to change it, but doesn't really matter. This is the clarity, and this is the denoise. You can see that if I denoise it, it doesn't really do anything to the image. So in this case, I actually like to apply just a slight touch more denoise here. I might give it a little more color, something like this. Then we have to change the aspect ratio, and in this case I think I wanted to photograph this as a 16:9. No, this is going to be a 3:2, suits it much better, I think. So I'm cutting off these bushes in the bottom here, and the image starts with those white grasses in the bottom. So something like this, a little bit further to get rid of that little piece there in the bottom. Then we're left with this image. So what I now do is I'm going all the way down here to the calibration section in Lightroom, and this is where I start tweaking around the colors, and I'm just really gentle with this. And I know that I usually do about the same. So the red, the color tone is going a little bit less, the saturation is going a little bit up, and I do the same with the yellows, the same with the saturation on the yellow and the greens. The blues, I don't change the blue color tone, I only change the saturation of the blues. And look at this image, there's no blue in this image at all, absolutely no blue. But if I look at the difference in the yellows and reds when I push this blue slider up. So by changing the blue slider, you can really make a massive difference to the other colors in the image. So that's something to keep in mind. And just look at the difference here. This is before and this is after. The colors are just popping out a little bit more. The color corrections, I actually have no idea if it does anything. I've never noticed it, but I always check them on. In this case, I think I will add a little bit more of that golden yellow colors here. I think I really like that. And that's what I do in the color mixer panel up here. So I want to have a little bit more contrast between those trees and the yellow. So you can do that here in this color curve. So you can turn the shadows down a little bit and the highlights up a little bit to create a little more contrast. But what I actually want is I want my eye to look for the specific tree here. I want this to be my main subject, this tree here in the center. And of course you can do that by applying a vignette down here, but I hate using this option here because this vignette does the same to every corner of the image, and I just don't like that because it's never that way in reality. The sun is always coming from one side, so once you apply this vignette, for me the image gets unrealistic, so I never use this option. If I want to use a vignette, I usually take a radial filter down here and I'll just pull it up. For example, the sun here is somewhere on top here of this image. So I'll just pull down this very large radial gradient and I push the invert button on top here. Sorry, it's in Dutch. If you push invert and you just turn down a little bit, so you can see this section gets a little bit darker, but this section still has the same amount of light to it, which feels much more natural if you can see the light coming into the image from this specific area. So, and in this shot I applied another mask here. Let's have a look. And I wanted to emphasize this tree a little bit, that you can see it better. So I applied a mask here in this section. Let's do it a little bit like this. And what I did, I pushed the Alt button on my keypad, and you can see here that the add and reduce button here, if I push it, changes in intersect. In the English version it says intersect here. So if you push intersect, I'll just use a color range and I'll just push on those yellow colors. And you can see that Lightroom only selected those yellows and not the darks of the tree. So what I did, I'll just emphasize that light from the back here behind the tree. So look at the difference before and after. The eye gets pulled towards this tree. So what I did, I made this section a little bit darker and I brightened up this section. And this looks a little bit flat in color wise, so you have to remember to get a little bit more color in that area to make sure that it looks okay. So I think this is actually quite close to the final result that I made a while ago. Maybe I overdid it a little bit on the white balance. So this is the edit that I did pretty quickly now. Of course, I always have a look for the noise in the image. Is there any noise in it? There is a little noise in, so I'll just push the noise reduction button. I always use this one in Lightroom. I used to do it in Topaz, but my experience is that the noise reduction in Lightroom works way better, especially for the whole workflow. I never try to push it above 30 or 40. If you go above that, at least with my Olympus system camera, I start noticing that the details in those grasses in the bottom are gone. So I'll never try above this, and I think this is more than enough to apply to an image. So yeah, this is the whole workflow. And just have a look. We're going to see the first. This is the image that I just edited. And you can see that I made a total different version here. I'm just looking at what the difference is. You know, this is the image that was seen on YouTube 2 weeks ago, and this is what I edited now. And I think I pushed in a little bit more reds here. If I look at the image, oh, I think it's a little bit more like this. So yeah, maybe I've overdone it by doing it quickly. So this is how I do it, and in this case I'm going to File, and I'll export it with my presets. So I have all kinds of presets here for a photo magazine that I always write for example. I have small ones for Instagram, I have the original ones without an autograph, I have the small ones with an autograph, the signature on the left bottom, right bottom, black signature, white signature. So I've programmed all these things in here, so I'll just select, and usually for YouTube I always select original ones. And then you can see I have my original files that I've pinned here, and this is where I store all my original files on the YouTube channel. And you can see here is the file that we just edited. So now let me show you a couple of images that I edited this way, that you have a bit of an idea what the final result is compared to the original raw file. For example, let's go into the develop module again, and this is the final result and this is the raw file. You can see I really emphasize those red colors in the sky in this image. The colors are in here, but you just have to push them out by turning on these sliders a little bit. Let's have another look at this image, and this is the raw file. You can see it's a totally different image, but I just emphasize these colors, and in this case I reduced the blues a little bit to make room for the nice red sunrise colors over there. But another good example here is, well, this is the duck shot, and you can see this is the finished raw file. This is the raw file and this is the finished result. And you can see that in this particular image I did exactly the same. I made this section of the image a little bit darker with this large radial filter, and I pushed in another radial filter from the top here that I brightened up a little bit so it looks like the sun is coming into the image. And I do that a lot in my images. I really do it a lot. So maybe that's a style thing or something like that, but I want to emphasize the area or the direction where that original light is coming from to make this image feel much more natural. And just have a look here. If I would apply a let's say a vignette here to this image, you see if I darken that left section on top there, it gets a real strange image. I really don't like that. So this section here, I never use the vignette section in any software. I always make my own custom vignette for any particular image. Let's look at another one. This morning, for example, again, on the right side is the finished raw file or the finished result, and this is the raw file. And you're probably thinking, oh, this is so much edit on this right image. But it isn't, you know, it's a real simple edit. Just have a look. I'll do this in a couple of minutes time. So again, I'll push up here for the same thing that I always do. I change that color profile with the 4 squares to Adobe Landscape. So first thing I always do, highlights are going down a little, the shadows are going up a little bit more whites, and I reduce the black point of the image. So in this case, I'm reducing the contrast a little bit more clarity. And you can see here, if I push the denoise button up too much, you lose that amount of atmosphere in the image. So I don't want to do that. But what I do want to do is I want to show more of these keys. So how did I do that? I went here to the mask tool, I got a pencil, and just look at this, is a really nice trick to an image. So I got this pencil here, and I colored over this specific area where the two geese are in the water. So like this. Now I'm doing the trick again with the Alt key on my keypad, and you can see here that this changes to intersect once I push the Alt key. So I intersect it, and I'm gonna say select subject. And look what Lightroom is going to do. It's only selecting my two geese. You know, this is absolute magic. And just go back down here to denoise, and I'm just denoising those two geese, and look at how they are coming out of the water. It looks much more clear to the front instead of being that foggy. So, well, that done, then I'm going all the way back down like in the first image. I'm changing the color tone of the image a little bit, and maybe this is where the trick of that punch in my images is. So doing the same, reducing the top one and plussing the bottom one. And look at the difference that the blue saturation here does. If I pull the blues out, there is no color in the image. If I push it up, there is so much color in there, but there's not much blue in the shot, but it affects, just look at those grasses here. This is a yellow color, which is boosted by pushing in that blue section here. So always be gentle with the blue slider here. So use that. So I'm going back up, and now I'm going to change my white balance. So I'm gonna add that beautiful morning light that was there. So something like this, little bit more of the magentas. I think this is about it. And again, I'm going to apply a big radial filter because the sun is coming from the left top section of this image. So I'll just make sure that the geese are in my section here. Invert, I'm gonna darken that top side there. And in this case, I think I used a linear gradient that I pulled down from the top here. And I'm going to use the Alt key trick again, intersect with a radial filter. So look at this. So now I have I'm gonna turn this a little bit so that it hits my geese. You see, and now I have a linear gradient which fades out into this image where the geese are, and I'm just going to increase the light a little bit from the top and give that a little bit more of those warm tones. So this is about it, and I didn't do much more to this image. I think in the original file I went a little bit more for a magenta look, something like this. But just look at the before and after here. This is the raw file, and this is my maybe 2-minute edit for this particular image, and look at the difference it makes. It's massive. And this is my file that I just edited, and this is the one that I edited for the video. So this is about my workflow on how I edit the images, and it's a real simple process. There's not much to it, and I can show more of these videos. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these editing tutorials. But for me, it's all about catching that moment out in the field. If the conditions are right, then you don't have to do much edits afterwards, but every single image is edited separately in my workflow. So after I edited those images, I usually try to leave them alone for a couple of days, maybe a week or something like that. And that is just to get a fresh feeling to them. And if you go to my original file, before I start making a video, I always walk over these shots to see, didn't I overdo it on colors? Didn't I miss anything? Are there any distractions on the side of an image that I missed? When you're editing and you're constantly focused, you start to miss things. So it's always good to go back a day later, look at them again, make some minor adjustments, and save them again. So, and after that is all finished, I just go to my DaVinci Resolve. This is the software that I use to make these YouTube videos. DaVinci Resolve is free software. It's just amazing how this is probably the best editing software there is for videos. and it's totally free. You know, it's ridiculous, but I'm just making use of it. But if you want to see it, go for Black Magic design and look for DaVinci Resolve. It's fantastic. So this is where I import my files, and you can see that this is the video from last Sunday, and I already deleted the video files. It's true. Once it's on YouTube, I just throw everything away. So the video files are gone, but this gives you a bit of an example what it looks like. So you have video files, and the photographs are here on top with a couple of things like the subscribe button, my subscribe thing with a picture on it, all on a green screen. So I delete that green section, so you only see the top versions. This is some music for the videos. This is the end screen, and this is how the whole video is put together. So this is where I put in the video material, and then you get the transition here to where the photos are. So all these things have keynotes in where the image is big and where the image is getting smaller. You have the information on top here, what lens I used, what camera, what settings. So all these things are in this video file, and you can see if I go here to the right how many single individual clips one video contains. So creating this takes me about 1.5 to 2 hours. If all the material is filmed correctly, if there are no problems with microphones, if all the photos are edited correctly, then I can do a video like this, a 20-minute video, in about 1.5 to 2 hours. So, and it's actually a lot of fun to see these small stories come together. So yeah, I think I covered all of that, and once that I've finished this video, I'll just export it, and I always use a custom export, and it's an MP4, and I always use the 3840 to 2160 because that's an Ultra HD, it's a 4K file. So yeah, this is how it works for me. This is my total workflow from pushing the shutter, going all the way to the finished video, and this is the point where I start uploading it to my YouTube channel, thinking about a title, making a thumbnail. For example, just to show you, for making thumbnails I always use Canva. It's also free software online, and this is one of my most recent uploads. So these are just all separate images. This is the image, and this is a separate image from me that I've just cut from the video footage. So I just watched the video footage, and somewhere I was in there, made a screenshot of it, yeah, cut myself out of that shot with Adobe Photoshop, and saved it as a transparent PNG that I could put over this image. And that's just how all these things just come together. This is from the push of the shutter till uploading it to YouTube. This is the whole story. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed seeing my editing process or my workflow. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me through the comments, through Messenger, or send me an email or anything. Always like to communicate and connect to everyone watching these videos. So something different than what I usually do, but I thought Gary had a good idea. So yeah, this is it. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, don't forget, please push that thumbs up button, and yeah, there's also a subscribe button underneath here if you haven't subscribed already. Weekly new videos, most of them on location, some tips and tricks, editing, tutorials, reviews of my camera gear from OM System, but most of it is about trying to share a little bit of inspiration of how do I find shots on location. So yeah, that's what this channel is all about, and I hope to see you on the next video. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.